Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Reese number 370A. This is an automatic door bottom with a sponge neoprene insert. This is what it looks like. This is what's considered a Mortise mount and is installed in the bottom of a wood door is where you're going to see this. This would be not appropriate for construction in a steel door, so you're going to see this in a wood door. Mortised down into the bottom. It's concealed for all intents purposes at all times, except, of course, if the door was closed. I suppose you looked underneath the door, you would see, of course, the projected seal on the bottom. So we can drop down a little bit there. We'll go over that more in a moment. Now, I'm going to mention that these are elegant solutions, probably multiple times in the video. Automatic door bottoms are exactly that. They automatically seal the bottom of the door, and it happens when the door is closed. That's all there is to it. Versus a door sweep that might drag over something, would become in conflict with something left in front of or behind the door, like maybe a rug or a shoe when you open the door. An automatic door bottom stays snapped up and in its housing when the door is open, and only drops when the door is closed. That's an elegant sort of solution. There are different types of automatic door bottoms in the sense of styles as it pertains to their mounting. And then, of course, differences in seal material and what they're intended to do. Those are less significant differences compared to the fact that they're all common in that they're automatic door bottoms. There's a link below this video to a document called Product Brochure, and let's start there. What you're going to see on that two-page product brochure are the different types. On that page 1, you're going to see models that are surface mounted. They are literally mounted to the face of the door at the bottom and on the push side of the door, the side that would have the stops of the frame. That's certainly the most common. There's different seal materials, there's different sizes, there's different intentions of this sort of material in terms of the surface area of the seal, cost, of course, the robustness by which it handles the job. You'll notice that on the product brochure, the 321 models are not going to feature what the 521 models. And if you take a close look where it says pile seal, as the drop bar rides in its housing, air or sound or particulate can still get in and out and over, but that pile that's riding on the inside lip of the housing itself helps retard that. So you get 2 layers of seal there. Your better quality models will certainly always feature that. On page 2, you're going to have an automatic door bottom with a flexible type gasket that's intended to help compensate in an application where you have a significant sort of STC rating that's going to be required. And dovetailing into the conversation earlier about air getting up, in, and over and around, that accordion style obviously prevents that because there is no housing that it rides in and out. Okay, STC 50, a quite high rating for STC transmission control. Moving towards the middle of page 2, you're going to find our 370 drawn there. You're going to find the 372, which is the same premise as this, but intended for only a steel door, that inverted bottom channel. You'll also see the 430 and the 943 models, heavy-duty versions of the 370. The seal area is going to be larger with that neoprene. The 943 is going to be a nylon brush model that will also act as a security sort of device as well. That bar comes down and hits the bottom of the floor, stopping the unit, helping retard an attack from underneath because it's a solid bar. And of course the bristle will hang slightly longer. That bristle will contour itself to the floor, to an irregular floor surface. That's a very significant advantage to any seal that has a bristle inserted in. Now the inverted channel style obviously is going to be mortised into the bottom of the door. Whether it's a wood door or a hollow metal door, you're going to have a channel underneath the door. The first models that are on page 1 are surface mounted. Now those can also be installed semi-mortise, where rather than surface mounting it, you will route the bottom of the door so that the face of the case is flush with the face of the door. That's a very nice, neat, compact sort of look, and that can be done as well. It changes the size that you need to order and where the drop bar bolt makes contact with on the frame. If you want to discuss those models, it'll either be in a different video or reach out to us independently. The 370 can be ordered as a lead-lined unit as well. That's not uncommon. If you have a lead-lined door that you'd have obviously in an x-ray room in a hospital or a clinic, you would need to have lead-lined hardware, and a door bottom is certainly no exception to that rule. Now, this item, we're going to skip back now to the extended description of the product. Sponge neoprene insert. Neoprene, the synthetic rubber, it's a very good sort of item that's going to be used to seal a door. Okay, got it tucked out a little bit there, showing you that door bottom. It's not, takes significant force to get that to come out, but I'm going to capture it here. And that's really what it looks like when it's extending. Okay, there is a very strong spring that's inside of here, which is the premise by which these work, and we'll go over that more in a moment. The physical dimensions are shown down below in that image, and it's really referring to the channel that you need to create, or the mortise that you need to do to accommodate the unit. This will work on 1 3/4 doors, certainly. This will also work on an 1 3/8 door, because the width, a dimension not given at all, is of the mounting flanges, and it's just shy on, it's 1 1/4, so you'd be able to fit that onto an 1 3/8 door. A question that we get occasionally for an 1 3/8 door. It is fire rated, okay, and it is available in the website in several different lengths. If you have need for a custom length, absolutely order the next longest piece or pieces, and indicate in the comment field what net length you want us to ship this out at, and that's the way that the unit will be manufactured. The factory's making it regardless of size. They're not sitting on a shelf ready to go. They're all made. So 36 inch, which is this unit here, it's unlikely that 36 inch is the proper size, even though it could be. That sort of scenario would be a wood door that's a full 36 wide, and your frame is really about 36 1/4. But in a hollow metal frame application, 3 foot by 7 foot, your door is going to be 35 3/4. You don't want 36. You're going to want to order that 35 3/4. And actually, you might want to order it, depending on the bevel of the door, you might want to account for that bevel as well. A 1/16 of an inch probably isn't going to be a big deal for your installation, but that door will, if it's beveled, it will, 35 3/4 will be a little long on one side and a little shy on the in the push side of the door. Now you see that the channel is 5/8 by 1 15/16. Forgive me. Let's measure the actual unit. Okay, so just just heavy on 1/2 inch. Overall height about 1 13/16. So they're adding 1/8 of an inch about as margin. That makes a lot of sense. You want to get that positioned nicely in the door. Mortising the door for this is not difficult at all. It's obvious that you're going to need a router with probably a plunge router that you can get put on the door. If you're going to do this by hand with a router, what I would suggest is that you make a guide that you can bolt to the bottom of your router base. Use that L angle guide as a way to place the unit down on the face of the door, and have your router come in and start your channel and run that down the door, increase your depth in that way. The location of the L angle guide is going to be related to making sure that the bit is in the proper center line of this and the door, etc. If you would like to discuss how to go about doing that, feel free to reach out to me. I have experience doing that. But that's if you have a non-rated wood door. If your door is fire rated, don't do it at all, because the fire rated door would have its labeling voided if you did such a significant field prep to the door. The door would need to be manufactured to accommodate a piece of hardware like this if it was fire rated. Therefore, you'd order the fire rated door and pass the specification of the unit to the door manufacturer, because reinforcing needs to be done. That white gypsum-like material, that mineral core of a metal door would be quite inappropriate to have exposed. Doors have a perimeter that I know is being called tectonite. It's an incredibly dense material with poor screw withdrawal strength in general, if you're going to try to pull a screw out, but is the proper material used as reinforcing. So your door manufacturer, based on the requirements of construction for their doors and how they were tested, they need to have that bottom rail of sufficient height that you can then take a mortise into, a machine into, and mortise such a deep pocket, a practically 2-inch deep pocket. A standard fire door will not have the amount of material there for that to be compliant. If it's a fire-rated door, order the door properly. If it's or if it's a solid core non-rated door, have the factory do it. It'll be easier and less expensive if you don't have experience, although it could be something that you do all the time, so not a big deal there. What size do you order? We've discussed that. Order it the right size so you don't have to worry about it. Now, installation of this material, there is a link below this video to a document that is installation instructions. Maximum amount the unit can be trimmed in the field is 2-inch, and we'll talk about that more in a moment. Maximum drop is 3/4 inch. That's really important to know. If your door, the bottom of the door to the top of the sill, to the top of the threshold, whatever you're sealing against, 3/4 inch is the maximum. There's really no way to make that any more other than cheating the entire unit down a little bit. Cut your uniform mortise 5/8 wide by 1 15/16 inches tall. To cut the part to the proper length, first remove the end cap from the end opposite of the adjustment screw. This is blank. This is the end opposite of the adjustment screw. Never cut this side, period. This is always the hinge side, period. This is always the lock side, period, and this is the side that you would cut should you need to, period. You would remove this cap and you're going to be able to cut this up to a maximum of 2-inch. Okay? These rivets that are here are indeed indicative of the inner working of the assembly of the material. Cut the door bottom length to the same size as the door width. Use a sharp hacksaw. Hold the door bottom operating bar flush with the end of the case and cut the same amount from the case and from the bar. So basically you'll remove this, you'll keep this all pinched together and carefully cut everything with a sharp hacksaw. Screws are furnished for attaching, and that is indeed the case. I'll go through these ears that are down here. I like to, back to the cutting, I like to avoid the field cutting. For every 50 of these that I sell, somebody cuts it wrong, or they damage it in the process and need to have it replaced, or say, oh, it broke, and can I send it back? And, I'll pay to ship it back. So if something broke somewhere in that process, order it the right length. If you need help determining that, please feel free to reach out to us. When shipped from the factory, the adjustment screw is screwed into the housing. The amount of drop is increased by unscrewing the adjusting screw so it projects further out from the housing. So that's not the case with this. This is turned out, bottom line. When you rotate this clockwise, it's going to draw in the further projecting it is. The amount of projection is directly related to the amount of drop. When you get the door mortised, you get the unit installed and then the door hung, take your screwdriver and draw that in. Turn it in so it projects out only about 1/8 inch. Then test your door and check your operation. Turn it out some more. Test your door, check the drop, make sure it's nice. What you want to accomplish is just contact, not undue contact with the floor, because what's happening is when you depress this, it compresses a spring that's inside of the housing. As you push in the lock bolt, it takes that flat spring and bellies it, forcing the bottom to drop. And as you note here, it drops unevenly, and that's normal. Because what happens is, if my thumb represents the sill and it drops and my thumb restricts it, it'll start to drop on the other side. So it comes down somewhat like a guillotine. It will drop this way and then come down. So it'll contour itself nicely to that sill that's there. That's elegant as well. Test your operation. Adjust the projection of the bolt to suit. again, just contact. And the other reason you want contact is as soon as the door starts to open, you want the bolt going in, but more importantly, you want the spring to flatten out or begin to flatten out, therefore immediately pulling up the housing so that you don't have a loose drop bar in that housing where you're then dragging it across the floor before it retracts up. That would damage the unit likely permanently, and you'll hear it as well. So be careful not to do that. The concept of why that's important dovetails into why it's elegant. You can have an exterior front door of your home where you've got an adjustable top threshold, wood door, side lights, the whole 9 yards. You're going to have a wood floor on the inside. Your threshold's going to hold up 3/4 inch, maybe an inch off the floor, maybe a half inch. The point of the matter is you're going to want a rug on the inside of your door, most likely, to wipe your shoes. And what you don't want is a door sweep dragging across that entire assembly. This, when it's snapped up back into the housing, allows you to clear over that, making it an elegant solution. If you're familiar with a finned sort of door bottom that gets stapled to the bottom of the door, well, you just try that sort of door bottom with a kid who's left their shoe behind the door, and you come home and push the door open. Speaking from experience, you encounter a little bit of resistance, and then, of course, you continue to push further, finding out it's a sandal, and you'll damage that finned bottom. This would not be so the case. Because they're just dropping and sealing, they're incredibly long-lasting and durable. That makes them elegant as well. They're almost smart in that regard. Should you find that you need to replace the seal, and that would be years down the road, we could contact Reese and sell you only the replacement insert for that. That wouldn't be difficult to do at all. And as a result of all the confluence of all those advantages, I do feel that they're quite elegant solutions. If there's one drawback to them, other than the prep in the door, which might be a challenge, and the fact that they simply do cost more than a standard door sweep, is this. You hear the operation. You hear it work. You hear it snap back up. If I've sold 1,000 of these, or maybe 10,000, one person has said, that sound is unacceptable. To me, it's hard to comprehend that because, sure, it makes a sound, but is it unacceptable given the alternate sort of solutions? But indeed, that is something that's been mentioned. It is worthy to mention. You do hear the sound. These are generally used in commercial settings where you're not going to have that sort of concern, but in hotel sort of applications, you know, the sound is there as well, and it's not an issue, in my opinion. But I do mention it because it has been mentioned to me. So the confluence of the high-quality sort of concept of the way to seal the bottom of the door, combined with Reese as a company, who, in my opinion, excels in customer service, quality of material, prompt, reliable shipping lead times, makes a very potent combination and something that you should consider when you're looking at automatic door bottoms. Reese does one thing, and they do it very well. They have a petite footprint of commercial weather stripping, and they do a great job with it. Frankly, I wish I sold a lot more Reese than I do. I use Reese on a job when I want to showcase the weather stripping just as much as I want to showcase all the expensive hardware that's on the door as well. If you took 5 thresholds from 5 different companies and you weighed all of them and it was the same shape and everything, you're probably going to find the Reese product will simply weigh more because their extrusions are generally thicker. They also showcase polyurethane as an insert material, which is outrageously effective when used as a door sweep and as perimeter gasketing because it's impervious to so many environmental impact that would come to it, tear, extreme temperatures, mildew, bacterial growth, things of that nature. There's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all the Reese products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, along with a link to the full product catalog. If you have more than an occasional need for weather stripping, familiarize yourself with Reese. Perhaps not a lot of people know the name, but you will appreciate and you'll remember the name when you see that quality the first time you get the material. If you have any questions on the Reese number 370A, Mortised style automatic door bottom, or any other Reese product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.